will you feel if you ran into an old classmate, someone you were always academically ahead of, and she's driving a sleek SUV with customized plate number, dressed like morning itself while you on foot? You smile and say, is this not Sandra? She adjusts her shades, look at you slowly from head to toe and says, Deborah. You nod, still smiling and still hopeful. Then she gives you the kind of laugh that stabs your intestines gently and says, so after all your first position and good girl life, this is how you ended up? Your brain tells your legs to walk away, but pride keeps you rooted. You want to speak, but the only thing that keeps ringing in your head is, what do you want to say? Is she not stating the obvious? Please sit tight with your popcorn as I share the story of Deborah Alade. Deborah was the kind of girl every mother prayed for and every street auntie wanted their daughter to be like. She was respectful, decent, and painfully brilliant. She was raised in a modest God-fearing home in Ibadan. Her father, Mr. Alade, was a retired soldier, and her mother, Mrs. Alade, sold herbs in front of their house. From a young age, Deborah was taught that book was the only boyfriend she needed. She entered Christ the King Nursery and Primary School at age 2, wearing an oversized uniform and shoes that looked like she borrowed them from her future self. By Primary 2, teachers already nicknamed her correct brain. She was always neat, always in time, and always the first to submit assignments. She won spelling bee in Primary 4, inter-school debate in Primary 5, and left Primary 6 with a shelf of awards that made her father build a mini cupboard just to display them. Her transition to St. Monica's Miss Secondary School was smooth. She passed the entrance examination in one sitting. From the first day, she came prepared with her 20 notebooks, 4 pens, 2 mathematical sets, and a firm decision to avoid distractions. Now, this was the era when school love was the trend. Girls in Chess 2 already had code names with their so-called boyfriends. They would write love notes, sprinkle perfumes on it, and pass it to class like it was a national budget. They would form cliques and mock girls who wearing sheets or bulldog. But Deborah was a one-girl squad. No matter how many times her classmates teased her with, Debbie, don't you feel lonely? Don't you want someone to write a love letter to you? What's the point of being fine and brainy if nobody's toasting you? She would calmly reply, I would rather pass WAEC than pass STDs and heartbreak. With this, they avoided her and nicknamed her Maria Maka. But Deborah didn't care. She knew what she wanted. She wasn't moved by their stories of secret abortions, Valentine cards, or weekend outings that ended in shame. She stuck to her principles, stayed out of drama, and graduated top of her class. Getting into the university was another feather in her already heavy academic cap. She didn't just pass JAM, she conquered it. She scored 293 on her first try, got admitted into one of the top federal universities to study microbiology. Not because she couldn't do medicine, but because she already knew where her strength and peace were. She didn't need to carry skeleton textbooks heavier than her destiny to prove anything to anybody. From the first day on campus, it was clear that she was not your average fresher. While her mates were invested in ring lights, Deborah was invested in her studies. She had a schedule for everything. Anyone who sat beside her in class either adjusted or got serious because her seriousness was contagious. She never joined any group that didn't add value. The only society she joined was the fellowship. Her own Christianity was quiet, disciplined, and consistent, the kind that convicted you just by watching her. She never wore what didn't suit her, never said yes to what didn't sit well with her spirit, and never followed a crowd that was heading nowhere fast. And yet, Despite all that discipline, she was not boring. Debbie had a wicked sense of humor. She graduated with a strong 2-1, and by the time she packed her things and left campus, she had no flashy send forths, no social media welfare, no boyfriend to kiss at the gates, but she had something most didn't have, which was peace of mind and a clean name. Convocation came and went like a dream. Deborah returned home with her certificates wrapped carefully in a transparent file jacket and her NYSC color later, hoping that life would start smiling at her like the motivational speakers promised. After her service year, she came back to Ibadan full of hope. At first, she was calm, but 1 month turned into 2 and then 3. Reality started knocking like tax collectors. One afternoon, tired of waiting for opportunity to locate her address, Deborah picked up her smartphone and searched on Google. Where can a microbiologist work in Nigeria? The answers looked sweet. Pharmaceutical companies, food production companies, research labs, hospitals, breweries, environmental consulting firms, etc. My sister smiled and said, ah, work day now. Thank God I studied microbiology. She sat up, opened the file with all her credentials, dusted her CV like it was a relic from the ark, and began to write application letters. She submitted at least 8 applications in 1 week. She went from Dubai to Ring Road, then to Challenge. Finally, she got a call for an interview at one of those companies she applied to. When she arrived, the manager looked at Deborah's results and said, "You are brilliant, just exactly what we are looking for." Deborah's face lit up until the man continued. "But I have some expectations. I prefer staff that can go the extra mile. You know, stay close sometimes and be friendly outside office hours." Deborah blinked. "Please, sir, I don't understand you. Is the company not closing by 5 o'clock p.m.?" The man smiled like a lizard that just swallowed something. "It's not about time, my dear. It's about availability, emotional intelligence, and submission." Deborah calmly said, "Please make me understand like a nursery school child." It simply means you will have to work with your body too." Deborah stood up and said, "I am only available to work with my brain, sir, and not my body." She walked out. Tears were threatening to fall, but she held them like a soldier holding back salutes. That was the third interview with the same shady undercurrents, as if her certificate had a label saying fresh meat. She went home, threw herself on the bed, and let the tears roll. Just the kind of tears that tasted like frustration and reality. The next day, she hit the streets again. But this time, she went from private schools to mission schools to even schools that were just managing to be schools. At one school in Bodija, the proprietress looked at her and said, "You are too qualified, though. You have a strong 2-1 and you're speaking English like BBC. You will soon leave us if you get a better job." Deborah replied gently, "Ma, even if I'm going to leave, at least let me be useful while I'm here." That was how she finally got a job teaching biology and basic science from JS1 to SS1 with a salary that was not even enough to carry her through the month. Every morning, she would wear her well ironed gown, hold her bag like it contained gold, and teach those children as if she was training future daughters. She didn't shout, but her students feared and loved her. They called her Auntie D. Some even told their parents that they wanted to be like Auntie Deborah when they grew up. But deep down, Deborah still wondered, is this what all my years of good behavior, all those burning midnight candles and my disciplined lifestyle brought me to? She will wake up by 4:30 a.m., cook, dress up and trek half the journey to school because her transport allowance was more of a suggestion than a reality. She would stand for hours to teach hyperactive students, mark scripts, prepare lesson notes, and still smile like everything was fine. But everything was not fine. Her salary was 27,500 naira. After tithe and transport, she was left with little or nothing. She kept pushing and kept on believing, but her body had another plan. It started with a dry cough and general body weakness. She brushed it off with, maybe I just need rest, but the rest never came. By the following week, she collapsed in class. Thank God for the SS2 students that ran to the staff room shouting. They rushed her to a nearby hospital. She was admitted for 4 days, and after every, the hospital bill came to 18,200 naira, and her account balance was just 3,400 naira. It was her parents who came through with the payments. The school gave her 1 week off, but after going home, she realized her body wasn't fully back to strength. On the day she was meant to resume, she woke up sweaty, dizzy, and her legs trembling like soaked biscuits. She called the school line and informed the proprietress. Please, ma, I am still not fully okay. I will come in tomorrow. The woman answered coldly, just don't stay too long, oh, madam. We are not running an NGO here. Deborah took one more day, believing that surely she would understand. She resumed 2 days later, greeted everyone with her usual smile and weakness still clinging to her bones. The proprietor smiled tightly and said, hope you are stronger now. Deborah nodded. Yes, ma. Thank you very much. She felt relieved, thinking the matter was over. But by month's end, when her salary came, it was 3,400 naira short. She thought it was a banking error. She calmly walked over to the proprietress and asked, Ma, please, I think there's a mistake in my salary. The woman didn't even look up. She said to her, no mistake, my dear. You missed 1 day beyond your sick leave, so it was deducted. Deborah blinked. But I was sick, and it was just 1 day. The woman smiled like she was doing her a favor. That's the rule. You break it, you pay. That 3,400 naira deduction shook her entire spirit. She went home that day and didn't even eat. That night, Deborah cried again, not because of the 3,400 naira, but because her dignity was constantly being bruised by people who, by all standards, aren't better than her. She lay in bed, wondering, so after all my hard work, my first positions, my discipline, my prayers, this is what I get? She asked herself, Deborah, but for how long? Every morning you wake up before the cock crows. Sometimes you even bathe with cold water and you squeeze into an overcrowded bus with shouting conductors, all to earn a salary that is not just annoying but also working under a heartless employer who didn't think twice before deducting your money. She thought about it deeply. Is this what adulthood is? Is this what all my first positions were for? Is this the reward of saying no to boyfriends, ignoring peer pressure, and carrying textbooks like a covenant child? That night, she was confused. She cried, oh, but she still managed to whisper, Lord, I am not lazy and I am not ungrateful. Please show me what to do. I need direction. If I continue like this, I will break. I will fade off. I want more out of life. But I want it your own way. Please show me. She slept off, and what followed in the weeks ahead was not what she expected. It started with dreams. Not dreams of standing in lab coats or giving TED Talks like she once imagined, but she saw herself frying akara. Not just frying it, but doing it so well that people queued. Buses stopped, cars parked, and people dressed so well were eating her akara. It was that deep. At first, she ignored it, like a whole me frying akara, a whole 2-1 graduate. She even laughed the second time it came. God, I said show me direction, not disgrace. But the dream didn't stop. She began to see people calling her madam, and when she checked around, it was still Akara business. Olorumaje was all that came out from her when she woke up from that dream. She went back to teaching, but the next day in school for her was so bad. First, her lesson plan went missing, and the proprietress backed at her like a dog. She taught all week on an empty stomach because her salary was delayed. Then Friday came, and just when she thought she would find peace, another thing happened again. Deborah smiled through it all, but when she got home that evening, she sat at the edge of her bed, pulled off her sandals, looked at her cracked feet, and sighed like a grandmother. I can't do this anymore. She waited for the day they would pay her salary so she can live respectfully. While waiting, she did what any good Nigerian does in a crisis. She turned to YouTube. That week, her search history could make you cry and laugh at the same time. She searched for how to fry akara, and boom, one video caught her attention. How to make fluffy, crispy akara. She clicked it, watched it, replayed it, and took notes like it was jam prep again. She entered her tiny kitchen that night, soaked beans, peeled it herself using an old blender, and made her first trial batch of akara. It didn't just come out well, it was glorious. Golden brown, crispy on the outside, and soft on the inside. She gave her neighbors just to get their honest reviews. Salary day came. Deborah didn't waste time. She greeted the proprietress politely, smiled like a humble servant of God, took her full pay, and left that compound like a silent protester. She went straight to her mother's house, collected one big pot. The next day, she was dressed modestly. She wore a clean apron and positioned herself like a CEO of snacks. She fried and arranged the akara balls like art. By 8 a.m., her area was smelling like a local wedding reception. She sat and waited. 9:30, nobody came. 10:30, nobody still showed up, so she stood up, packed them into a transparent bowl, and began to hawk. She walked gently on the main road, calling out, Your hot akara here? Sweet, crispy akara here? Suddenly, a black jeep slowed down. The glass rolled down, and lo and behold, it was Sandra, a lady from her secondary school. She had transformed. She wore light makeup, designer sunglasses, nails like kitchen knives, and then she said, You are Deborah now? Yes. Sandra, hi, Debbie replied. Wow, our queen of the library, our Mary Amaka. So it is Akara you are selling now. She looked at her ring and flashed it proudly. I just got back from Dubai. My husband says I should rest before we travel again. But wow, Debbie, Debbie of the Most High, you are selling Akara. Here! She reached into her purse, brought out 2,000 naira and said, Take this money and share it to people around here. At least God has answered your prayers today. Deborah stood there, her bowl shaking in her hand. She took the money, said thank you, and like a woman baptized in fire, she turned and started giving the akara out to people on the street. She couldn't speak. She just smiled, nodded, and moved forward. When she got home that day, she was both sad and proud. Sad about how life had played her, and proud that she was at least doing something. She wanted to quit, but somehow her spirit said no. Something held her, something deeper than pride, louder than shame, and firmer than regret. One Saturday morning, Deborah had finished peeling and grinding the beans. She had practically prepped everything, but just as she lit the fire, the weather became unfriendly. At first, it was a whisper of wind, then a rumble. It was as if heaven wanted to test her that day because there was a quick, heavy pounding downpour. She screamed as she ran to cover the pot. Everything got soaked. Even the beans she covered inside a basin had water seeping through a crack. Life mocked her that day because the rain stopped at exactly 1 o'clock p.m. Who will buy akara by that time? We all know akara is a breakfast delicacy. But guess what? Deborah didn't quit. She packed and whispered, "Rain or no rain, I am not going back to that classroom." The next day, she returned with ruggedity. One woman came, tested the akara, and said, "My sister, this is so nice." She ordered 15 more pieces, and before Deborah knew what was happening, the woman brought her friends. And just like that, the walls of her akara spread. She started making more money than she had ever seen as a teacher. From small, she saved, and from her savings, she bought plastic chairs and 2 big umbrellas. Then she added pap. People started sitting down to eat. Men in shirts and trousers stopped on their way to work. Within months, she rented a small space, but it didn't stop there. With consistency, Deborah did the unthinkable. She bought land, built a proper kitchen area with tiled floor, fans, clean tables, and a signboard that read, "Deborah's Delights, home for intercontinental akara and premium pap." She wasn't joking about it. She added fish inside the akara and a mixture of little veggies. She started boiling water for pap with beetroot, giving the pap a pink glow that made it look like something from abroad. The first time she served it, people gasped and took pictures. She upped her prices, and yet more people came. Why? Because they didn't just come for food, they came for the experience. Soon, it was not Okadas that parked in front of her shop. It was clinkers, men with ties, and women with handbags. Her business grew beyond her human imagination, and so she needed help. She contacted a recruitment agency and told them she needed 2 serving hands and 1 assistant for kitchen work. 3 days later, the agency sent 5 candidates, and guess who walked in with other candidates holding a brown envelope? It was Sandra, the same classmate who mocked her akara journey. Sandra walked in slowly. She recognized Deborah instantly and froze. "Sandra!" Deborah called out. "Yes, it's me," she replied. "I saw the ad. Please, I need this job." Deborah took a deep breath. "What happened to you? I mean, the last time I saw you, you just returned from Dubai and you wanted to rest before embarking on another. And your wedding ring, did you forget it?" Sandra let out a dry laugh and dropped the truth. "That day that I saw you, it was my sugar daddy's car. I am not married though. I just wore the ring to belong. His wife caught us, took everything he bought for me, even my apartment. I have to start all over again." Deborah looked at Sandra and smiled with understanding. She didn't humiliate her. She simply said, "You will start with cleaning tables, but I will teach you the rest. This business saved me. It might just save you too." And so Sandra joined the team. She was slow at first, complained about so many things. struggled with waking up early and forgot customers' orders. But Deborah was patient. She would talk to her softly in between frying. Sandra, pride cannot feed you. You must learn with your heart and not just with your hands. With time, Sandra changed. She began enjoying the peace that came with honest work, the satisfaction of earning and not begging. She became like a sister to Deborah. Many years later, what started with one pot and tears now had three branches across town, a team of 15 workers, a weekly income that some bank managers would envy, a reputation that made her a guest on TV shows and business panels. She upgraded her menu again. This time she added premium beans, served with grilled plantain and spicy sauce on the side. It became a favorite. People pre-ordered and she introduced home delivery. One evening, sitting quietly in her office, Deborah looked at her journey from a frustrated microbiologist to a disrespected school teacher to a mocked akara seller and now a household name. She smiled and wrote down these lessons in her diary. Number one, no work is too small if your hands are clean. Number two, mockery today can become admiration tomorrow. Number three, rain doesn't stop the one who is determined to shine. Number four, true success is peace of mind, not social media validation. And then finally, humility is the clothes that greatness wears in silence. She remained humble. Even with all her success, she still wore her apron and fried akara sometimes just to stay connected to her roots. She still greeted her staff by name and made sure to push anyone with bigger dreams. Her parents weren't left out. She made sure they lacked nothing good and made it a routine of taking them on vacation once a year. Hey, African Tales by Karma Tribe, how are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. Before I leave today, I would like to say this. To the ones who are doing everything right and life still feels wrong, I know it hurts. You were the one teachers praised, the one everyone expected to blow first. You said no to shortcuts, stayed focused, graduated with hope, yet here you are, tired, broke, and wondering if things will ever get better. Let me tell you this, life is not punishing you. That uncomfortable place you are in might just be God's way of saying, look inward, my child, and I nurse your hidden potentials. You are not cursed, neither are you unlucky. You are simply in the middle of your story. What if God is saying, I don't want you to be an employee but an employer? What if the rejection is redirection? What if the delay is to develop something stronger in you? What if you were never meant to fit into the system because you were called to build one? Stop waiting for the big job. Stop shrinking because of your current state. Stop mourning a degree that hasn't paid off yet. What if it's time to build something? I mean, a business, a service, a brand, or a voice. Something that starts small but grows big. Don't give yourself any reason not to start now. Shun that voice and never feel too big to start small. Starting small is not the problem, please hear me. But remaining small is where the danger is. If frying akara is the door, hold the spoon with honor. If braiding hair, washing cars, tutoring kids, or selling thrift clothes is what is in your hand now, work it with pride and purpose. People may laugh at your beginning, but they will clap at your consistency. Every big name you admire today has a story, and most of them didn't start on a red carpet. It is time for your transition. Get up, wipe your tears, shut out the shame, put your phone down and stop comparing. Stop waiting for sympathy because it doesn't pay bills. And if you stay consistent, you'll be surprised what the next 5 years will bet. Greatness is still in your DNA, so please don't give up. And to those who mock others, be careful. I mean, please be careful. That person you are laughing at today, that one frying akara by the roadside, that girl hawking with dusty slippers, that boy that is still in his struggling stage might be laying the foundation of a palace you will need permission to enter tomorrow. Ecclesiastes 9 verse 11 reminds us clearly that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happeneth to them all. This life is not about who starts loud though, it's about who finishes strong. And the funny thing about life is it can turn in 1 second. That person you are mocking might be one divine encounter away from a turnaround that will shut your mouth permanently. Don't let comfort make you proud. Don't let borrowed luxury deceive you. Don't let your temporary shine blind you to the reality that tables turn. And sometimes they turn suddenly. Life can be very funny, yo. The girl you mocked for wearing the same shoes for months might become the CEO you will one day fill an application to. That boy you are mocking for being an Okada boy might end up feeding nations tomorrow. God doesn't need time, He only needs a moment. Mockery is a seed, and like every seed, it has a harvest. So please be careful. Life has a way of humbling proud thorns. Instead of mocking, pray for people. Instead of gossiping, encourage. And instead of feeling superior, remember that God lifts from the dust. So tread with wisdom because the one who looks like nothing today might be your lifesaver tomorrow. Let me conclude by saying, no one knows tomorrow, so be very careful. Words spoken can never be retrieved. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly punch on that subscribe button and join the Karma tribe. Help me to share out to your loved ones. And until I bring another exciting story your way, it's a goodbye from here and God bless you.